according to Don Waters, who is the president, I believe, or director of the program officer, all right, that's the right title, of the Andrew Mellon Foundation, and the person spearheading the initiative in which I'm involved. These are some of the properties that a digital monograph should possess. Let me say that the Andrew Mellon Foundation distributed quite a significant amount of money, and particularly targeted in particular for this initiative, that is the fact of enticing scholars, libraries, and publishers to work on this fundamental step in innovation. Okay. My library, the library at Brown University, received $1.3 million, and this is part of, I think there were 15 libraries, so it was quite substantial investment. And I'll get back to this because being one of the scholars involved in this initiative, I'm very much interested in how much money I'm going to get. In other words, what is my share in terms of, and of course on that, it depends very much what I'll be able to do, what I'll decide to do. But these are some of these things have been said, so I won't go into the specifics of this, but they would like this, qualities to be part of all the experimentation that they want. So fully interactive, searchable online, portable across reader application, capable of supporting metrics, of user, but respect user privacy, which is another issue there for why you want or don't want to adopt metrics, maintain and preserve in its digital form, by whom, that's a different question, economically sustainable, high quality as judged by peers, peer reviewing is fundamental for the whole process, as Jane was saying, able to support the user's annotations independently of any particular reader technology, review, present or future, I guess, reviewed and eligible for disciplinary prizes and awards. It is particularly important in the American landscape because we want to be able to, about prizes in the UK, but the prizes, are important for visibility. Scholars expertly marketed, widely accessible, and owned, not rented by the reader, owned by the reader. So a lot of things, and I'm not sure they're all compatible. Okay, that's what I'm trying to. So here is my project, just an outline of my project, and bear with me because I won't go into it, but just to give you an idea of what I would like to do. This was born as an idea for a book. I wanted to write a book about sort of media archaeology of optical devices and tools between the second half of the 18th century and the end of the 19th century. The idea is a sort of archaeology of virtual reality. For me, virtual reality was born in Venice in the second half of the 18th century. I'll try to demonstrate that. That's my idea. So these are the chapters, but when I decided to submit my project to the library at Brown, which launched this internal competition for being a pilot participant in this Mellon initiative, I said, why not? It's a research on visual culture, so I'm thinking about a heavily illustrated book, which will cost a fortune and never publish. So I want to be able to do something. So perhaps this is the way to go. So I did, and one thing that changed from the conception, let's say, of the original book to the idea of the digital monograph, one very important thing is that for each chapter I decided to create a simulation, a digital simulation of one of these optical spectacles or devices from the past. And this has become the methodological, epistemological foundation of this project. It's all about simulation. These are simulations. The two main themes are virtual mobility and what I call the panoptical self, which is something we're all familiar with. And so, just one last thing, usually media archaeology, particularly these devices, are studied as part of the history of pre-cinema. I studied them as part of the prehistory of the post-cinema. But that's all I say about my project. Later I might take you inside the laboratory, if we get there. So, from text-centric to media-centric, these are some of the things that immediately came, what I wanted to do. The desiderata, the wish list, appropriate for a study of visual culture, from an illustrated text to a textual visual combination. Something, and of course, that combination very much depends on what platform you use, etc., etc. I'll get back also to issues of access, and of course the simulations, along with many other features, interactive maps, graphs, embedded video, sound, all, the things, the wonderful things that happen now on the internet, and I want them all in my book, okay? So that's my, properties, from linear to modular. So immediately when I started to reconceive my project as from a book, a heavily illustrated book with lots of links and into a digital monograph, I said, I have to rewrite this. I have to rethink this. There is a different way of writing that I need to cope with for a digital monograph. My linear argument, the argument I want to make, has to be sort of re-articulated in a different way. Modular, I call it, we can discuss that. It has to be interactive. I want the reader to really get involved with me, with the argument, and with what I write, the evidence I bring, all the apparatus, etc., etc. I want this interaction to be very much part of what's happening in this. The reader should be able not only to choose a reading path, okay, but also to reshuffle content and to reuse content, etc., etc. So keep all this list in mind and you see where we get. But sources, of course I have a lot of sources. I deal with historical documents. It might be about virtual reality in the 18th, 19th century, but it's all built on documentation. And here in London, I've been researching this 1821 exhibit at Egyptian Hall that this great character, Belzoni, Giambattista Belzoni, which is the prototype for Indiana Jones, an archaeologist and strongman circus act in London at that time, did in 1921 is a simulation of an Egyptian tomb that he rebuilt in scale 1 to 6. I want to do a 3D, a 3D simulation, a meta simulation, if you want. I have all the documentation. I've talked to archaeologists, all the documents are at the Bristol Museum. I've been to Bristol. They are willing to give me all the digitized watercolors by Belzoni, etc. Now I have to put it all together and do it. So these are part of my sources, but there are more traditional sources. For example, lots of quotations, embedded quotation footnotes transform into searchable database of primary and secondary sources. I, for instance, can export to the book my entire Zotero library. I can, embed in the book, I'd like to, the data sets I created at Antitrust, Gallica, and British Library, all the archives that I've been visiting. I created, your virtual collection, British newspapers online, lots of quotation and images of PDFs of the so excerpts, but also the entire books embedded into my text. An entire personal life, I can do that, so of course, this thing, is becoming more and more unmanageable. But the dream lives on. So, along with curated galleries of multimedia resources, also searchable by topic, keyword, etc., so the production of metadata there is quite substantial, and can I do it all by myself? Well, the evolution of authorship is what brings, keeps me up at night. It's what I would say, the brave new world of obsolescence. This is what it's all about. I cannot do it all by myself. I need a team. I'm not the only author. Author is clearly a collective entity with substantial questions and issues of, hidden labor and etc. But I do have a team, thanks to the to the Brown Library grant, a team that is not all mine. I share with other scholars, but the 2 pilot projects for now, being lucky, being the first to go, there is more money to spend and more things to experiment with until, other scholars come. I have a designer, a digital librarian, an editor-producer, and a research assistant working for me, with me, supposedly. And not only with me, of course. So, it sounds like the brave new world, but not enough. I want my readers to become my collaborators. I want them to be able to comment, annotate, even add content, and propose some alternative editing and design solutions. How can you involve the readers even before you do the writing? It's an interesting question, but clearly peer reviewing, but it's also sort of experiments in opening up your book before publication and say, okay, please give me your opinions, etc. And I ditch the whole thing if the reactions are sort of really negative. So, what should my digital monograph look or act like? A website? An app? What about the simulation of a book? Since I talked about simulation, this would be the factors. All of the above, all at the same time, or perhaps, there are different stages, different ways of delivering this. I can deconstruct the whole thing, and I'll tell you one other thing that keeps me up at night. I was already involved in something like this a few years ago in Italy. Italy is an interesting country because innovation goes on, but of course almost always fails, at least recently. And yet in 2010, I was writing a book called The Future of Literature, so on electronic literature and things like that. And then I was approached by a publisher who said, oh, I have perfect, you want to publish this on my platform. Because my platform allows you to do a lot of things. For instance, to have annotations by readers and sort of dynamic embedded HTML footnotes, etc. It's not everything I've described here, but a lot of what I've described here. No video, no, but at that point I was, there was a link to YouTube was enough. Well, I published a book with them. I basically, long story short, the platform, the whole publisher, vanished overnight. Even the publisher who approached me vanished. I had his cell phone number, and we and other, authors could not find him, and we assumed that he had borrowed money from the Camorra since he was from Naples, and it disappeared. Let's say that was our explanation, the only explanation. So the only thing I have to say, when this happened, is a printed copy of this whole thing with arrows indicating that, printed arrows and things that indicate where all the dynamic stuff was and was supposed to. I also have my own PDF copy. So why am I getting into this kind of venture? Well, what is inside and yes, I forgot about this. What's inside and what's outside this digital model? What can be really a sort of a supporting apparatus in a hybrid type of configuration, what instead has to be embedded and contained by the book? That is a metaphysical question. All right, so who makes these decisions? This is an interesting thing from the point of view of the author, about design, etc. Am I really in charge? I am the author, I should, you know, but what about the publisher? And of course, I'll never find a publisher. That was the first reaction. But indeed, a publisher found me, or at least one of the possible publishers. I don't know if you're familiar with this. This is actually my library, which is pushing me to sort of get a chapter out, or whatever the chapter is. I'll just show you maybe in 5 minutes if you have time, what it looks like right now, the work in progress. But they're saying, okay, these are the opportunities, and I'll have a slide with a list of these new consortia that are producing platforms that are supposedly, you know, at the service of the scholars who are crazy enough to want to do this. And there are, of course, scholars who have done this already. I'm not first by any means, so this has been happening. But let me show you a kind of, I think it's a little cheesy, as we say in America, but it gives you a sense of the promotional.
Technology platforms and rich opportunities for multimedia content set the stage for much needed change. For years, there's been a shadow over the future of monograph publishing.
It is really convincing.
Libraries forced to reduce budgets by fewer copies of each book published, which in turn puts financial pressure on publishers, compelling them to publish fewer books. The result? Increasingly limited avenues for getting important work into readers' hands, and an unsustainable model for publishing. It's time for a breakthrough. Luminos is our answer. A new open-access monograph publishing program from UC Press to open humanities and social sciences research to readers around the world. It combines the same high standards of peer review and editing of our traditional publishing program with the freedom and reach of open access. On top of that, authors can choose to include multimedia content to enhance their work. Open access is a widely accepted model of publishing that gives people free, unrestricted online access to peer-reviewed research and scholarly work. By applying open access principles and a Creative Commons license, we can make research available to people who need it and give authors control over how it's used. Here's how the Luminos model works. Based on the number of words and images and the use of multimedia, the baseline title publication fee to publish a monograph is $15,000. Those costs are then recouped from a number of sources within the academic community. Academic institutions will contribute $7,500 to the title publication fee. Authors can secure this subvention from many different sources on campus and beyond. And for authors who need additional help to publish, we have a waiver fund available. As for the rest, UC Press contributes towards these costs. So do libraries that support the program through membership dollars. And finally, some costs will be covered by sales of print copies. Libraries benefit too. They get online access to all Luminos titles, along with cataloging data and enhanced MARC records, absolutely free of charge. And that membership we mentioned? Libraries can opt to become supporting members, paying $1,000 a year into a larger pool that directly subsidizes monograph publication and our author waiver fund. That way, they support the academic community and more research. Luminos is built as a partnership where costs and benefits are shared, creating a sustainable publishing ecosystem that serves the entire academic community and opens monographs to the world.
How Californian this thing No, I mean, I was kidding when I said that I just discovered this a few days ago, but I've been doing go back to see that I am a tennis player. Let me go back to my slides. So, all this optimism, okay, and then of course, this is what I think Martin was referring to before, and we've seen the statistics that really brings us back down to reality, and so I won't go into that because we have heard a very articulate presentation of the whole issue of cost, etc. But this is another, I think, I don't know if you showed this slide, but that gives you an idea.
That's the lowest and highest figures from that table.
Right, you were taking the figures from the Ithaca. So, well, of course, there are three, I'll just mention three cost structures. There is the basic cost, which include the cost of staff time, the non-staff direct costs in acquisitions, manuscript, editorial, design, production, and marketing. The full cost, which include the cost of staff time and other non-staff direct costs, etc., etc., etc. And then there is this in-kind contributions, which is kind vague for me, and of course it opens up. But I wanted to go into the economics because I think I want to keep this point of view of the author trying to decide, and also I made my decision, unfortunately, so not about the publisher, but about doing this thing. So I think but here's the offer. New platforms which promise all these wonderful things to authors, publishers, and readers alike. Scalar, the one I'm using, was developed, and why am I using it? Simply because it's been around more years. And I was familiar with it. I'll show you in a second a little bit about how it works, but developed at the University of Southern California. The others that are coming up perhaps have the advantage of coming, at the point of the curve that, is clearly perhaps banking also on the experience of previous successes and failures. So there are very interesting other platforms, for example, Fulcrum, which is part of the Hydra community, a collaborative open source effort that dates back to 2008, but I think they are not yet ready to launch their user tool platform. So my choice of Scalar was also dictated by the fact that it was there and Radiance somewhat already experimented with. And the third one, and very interesting too, is Manifold Scholarship Platform. Some of them do incorporate the possibility of doing 3D, fly-throughs or animations, etc., which is something. So I might go back to this menu and decide not to go with Scalar, but right now, what I wanted to do is to get all my stuff, all my writing, and an idea of how to compose this book on one of these platforms and see where it gets me, and perhaps what are the issues that I might foresee about using one of these platforms, and which promise the world. So, mostly for publishers, there is Vega and Editorial. Bottom line, so how can a digital single author monograph harvest the growing fields of digital culture without losing those characteristics that made it perhaps the most stable of humanistic culture since the Gutenberg revolution? So So are we bargaining with the devil here? I mean, again, it's not just a matter of obsolescence, etc. It's the idea of betraying your own identity as a scholar, and in a sense, as we say in Italian, darsi la zappa sui piedi. As an author, I want to make an argument, sustain an argument, etc. But when I'm enticed by all these possibilities, am I doing the right thing, or am I sort of diluting my research process into this kind of dispersive enterprise, almost Don Quixote-like? Leveraging interactive reading, collaboration, visualization, data analysis, distributed knowledge work, even crowdsourcing, along with sharing one's own primary sources by offering open access to curated collections within libraries or museum repositories, etc., and doing all this while at the same time developing one's own style or one's own, sort of authorial imprint, etc. This is a mind-bending challenge. And then there is the money, but that's already so. So let me go quickly to Scala to show you a little bit of not so much. This is not going to be a webinar on Scala because there are so many of them that you can go online. Have you ever heard of Scala, or you have used Scala? Or?
I've looked at it.
You looked at it.
I didn't feel
Like
like I
it.
could get it. So.
You didn't like it?
I want to know more.
It's free.
But, yeah, I just thought I couldn't think anything to do with it. So.
Okay.
Show me.
Oh, good. No. I won't show you. I mean, I'm not here to convince you to sell you Scalar. Please, no. Or Luminous. Again, these are examples of what So, but here is where I am with the book right now, or at least with a chapter of the book. So it looks like this. You see there is a menu up here, and I'll show you in a second. I won't begin with introduction, but there is a table of content here, and I'm going, since I'm writing chapter 1, this is work in progress, so pardon me for any typo or egregious mistake you can catch, etc., etc. So I'm gonna go to, actually, I don't see it here, I don't know why. You can design paths in addition to have automatic table of contents generated. I've done something wrong because I see a missing piece. So when I design the path, I don't see it. So I go to recent, and there it is. So this is the chapter I was telling you about, or I showed you about, which is conceived, which will accompany the simulation of a peep show, that is an 18th century peep show. Actually is a journey into a famous painting by Gian Domenico Tiepolo, which is entitled Mondo Nuovo. Mondo Nuovo is the name, the Venetian name of that device, which is vulgarly a peep show or a cosmorama, or one of those devices that were very common in Venice at that time. So here you have, I designed this, it's badly designed, but I mean, it's very easy. I imported images using this import tool. You can import directly from affiliated archives, Critical Commons, the Cuban Theatre Digital Archive. There's not much there that I can use, but Hemispheric Institute Digital Video Library, the Internet Archive, and other, and they are growing according to them, so you can import directly, and that should clear also any kind of a Creative Commons, automatically, in a sense. If you import from affiliated archive, you can also import local media files, and that's what I've been doing. I've been grabbing things all over the place, and without being too concerned about if they are in public domain on the internet, supposedly I should be able to use them, but of course I documented where I'm getting, when I'm getting them, the URLs, etc., but at the same time, I'm postponing dealing with all the issues of copyright and access, etc., to a later time. In the meantime, I want to follow, the excitement and play with this tool as much as I can.
Did you build those bookmark lists, or
No. That's
good with that object?
That's the platform. It's like an editing tool with all this, and you just can do all these things and more. Media files, etc., etc. Let me show you this a quick look at the dashboard. Most of the chapters are actually what they call pages. So I have here chunks of written text that I've titled, etc., in order I'm trying to organize as I write them. And these are, as you can see, there's a long list. Eventually, some of them will go into the books, into the final product. Others won't. But there are also quotations, extended quotations that I built as pages, which means that I can link them to and embed quotation into my main text, and I'll show you in a moment how. And this is some of the possibilities there. I'm still exploring all the functionalities there, adding functionalities. So this is something that is, as I said in the title, somewhere in the title, is happening on the go. In other words, this thing is morphing, and I am the guinea pig of this kind of experimentation, along with many other authors. So let me go back to the book and show you a little bit of how the layout. Why? Go back to the chapter. The layout. So here you can see how the text is loading media, all the media that are media-rich environment. There are, images of prints, in this case the Gutenberg. There are all sorts of media. There are videos. This is an interesting simulation of a Edo-Fusicon. I can open it up directly. You cannot see anything, but because it is dark, it is this kind of strange spectacle of sort of atmospheric mimesis of natural landscapes that they did in the second half of the 18th century. Philip the Gutenberg was the inventor of this media, and I link it to some of the things happening in Venice at that time. So you can see a lot of images. Also, if I click on each image, the image is a part of a server. I'm allowed to upload images or media up to 2 megabytes. But then I can also, if I upload them directly from one of the affiliated archives, I don't have those restrictions and constraints. So I want them to work and collaborate with more of these archives and repositories. So here, for example, I can, let me see if I find a quotation that I was mentioning about. Right, here I'm talking about an English grand tourist who complained about smells in Florence and in Venice. William Bedford, and I wanted an extended quotation, but I didn't want to, as a footnote, I didn't want it even as a side. So I have this feature that is, so I created this as a page, okay, as an independent page, and then I created an annotation, and I annotated this line with a page. So this allows you to begin to do what I was saying before, importing into your text all the apparatus of quotations, etc., etc. This could be an entire book. It could be an entire book. I don't know if I want an entire book there, etc., etc. So what else I could show you that I've been doing with this? Again, not much so far, but But yes, all right. So, for instance, this comes from the Museum of Physics in Padua, and in fact, I can link directly to their website, and it's in Italian, so my book is in English. There is a very interesting explanatory page about this tool, which is a prismatic lens, etc. It's a wonderful collection of optical tools at the Physics Museum in Padua, Poleni collection. So I can actually have the all 400 items of this collection linked, accessible to the reader of my book. It is also accessible on the website of the museum, but how many people will find independently that side of the Poleni collection, etc., etc.? My book is going to be the conduit for that. So that's why I want this to be as media rich as possible. I want this because I am sort of providing, not only my argument with my evidence in a narrow sense, but I'm providing all these possibilities that then the reader will be using or reusing according to their own interest and taste. Now, I said, I don't want to take too much time because, I want to really open up the discussion, but just to give you an idea of the possibilities, but also an idea of what keeps me up at night, wondering, although, in my position as a sort of tenured senior member of the academy at a point in my career where I can afford to do this, and in fact have fun doing this. I've been meeting with collectors, all over Europe and Italy, France, here in the UK, who collect these things, these devices, etc. I've been having a lot of fun going to, museums, etc., etc. And I want a record of this to be, so my book to be also a record of that, the pleasure, the fun of finding these things and putting them together. It's part of the, excitement that I can hopefully transmit, the wonder for, these artifacts from the past, etc., in addition to the simulations, etc. So, but what about the final product? I mean, this is my, let's say, my wish list, or it's beginning to take shape. It's not even close because missing is the simulation, missing is really all the other things, the maps that are very important, the interactive maps, probably, linked to a geolocative system, etc., etc. There are so many things that I really am contemplating in the list. But first of all, will I be able to do it? Will my team be available to me as it is now? So I have the pressure of trying to finish as soon as I can, so that there are no other projects coming along, and I can have most of the time that the team is going to devote to working with scholars. Will this be the final delivery system that I don't think so. Frankly, this is just my laboratory. I want to see the other platforms. I want to see what are they able to deliver. Right now, it's the composition process. Now it's putting together this thing. But then there's going to be a series of questions about what will the final product look like. If there's going to be a final product, perhaps that's an illusion that there can be a final product for this kind of venture. I mean, maybe we have to start rethinking not only our identity as authors, but also the very idea that a book, a digital monograph, is a sort of a closed venture, something that can be, like everything that exists on the net. So maybe it is an open work and work that will go on. But the real issue, the issue that really keeps me up at night, is the issue of obsolescence. I don't want to go back again to the experience I had only 5 years ago. And having my wonderful book advertising, since it doesn't exist, it's like Invisible Cities by Calvin. It's accepted that it existed. I want my whatever I'm able to produce to exist, at least for, let's say, 5 to 10 years. Then I don't care.